What's good with the YouTube? You already know. Real Talk with Flacco coming live and direct. And on this platform, what do? We dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prison, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. And so today, as you already noticed, man, I posted two basically videos that were kind of proactive about the community and what's going on, and a little bit of positive stuff of what we need to address. And so I figured at this time, man, it's good to always present those stories, man, that you guys like, man. Things that I was involved in or scenarios and so forth, man. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to talk about the first and only time I was ever put on freeze. Yep. I was put on freeze at one time out there in the Gaias by none other than Sheldon Skip Villanueva. Big Skip put me on freeze, man. And I'm going to tell you how everything got crossed up and how everything got cleared up at the same token. I did nothing wrong. It was a real short-lived free status, but at the time I was tripping, man. So we'll go back to Operation Black Widow. Okay, so when everybody got indicted, okay, there was leftover stragglers out there on the streets, myself, another brother out there from MV, and a couple others, man. And we were like the only ones that had ever did any Pintero time or had been associated with any carnales, locked up behind the walls. And so we were being requested to do a lot of things at the time out there in the Gaias. Okay, so at that time, man, other people started coming out and getting involved, man. There was the homeboy Charlie Campa from Hollister, Gato from the rapper Gato Mas Loco. He used to hang out with Goose, real tight. He got plugged in with them, Black Steve, and so forth. And so what ended up happening is they started having these guys go up to visit them, Gato and Black Steve and so forth, because they had no probation, no parole, or nothing. And they had been working with some C's at the time. Black Steve was up there visiting Skip, and then Gato was up there visiting Goose. Okay, so all the directors were coming out, and sometimes we felt that there were some wires getting crossed. And there was. One time the homeboy got put on freeze that was unjustly per the Santa Rita, because when there was an indictment in Operation Black Widow, everybody that was there got indicted but this individual. But they didn't give him a chance to express himself. So he was on freeze for short-lived. And at that time, what ended up happening is they kind of separated the teams. They put Charlie Camp over here with Black Steve and a couple other people. They put me over here with Gato and then a whole bunch of other people that I had to start working with. You know what I'm saying? Because so pretty much I was going to be running that crew. Gato was pretty much getting all the messages, lining up all the work, and had all the resources and so forth, man. So it was supposed to be a working relationship, right? So, Gato, I had a really a different relationship with this dude. Because, he never did no pinta time. He never did this and that. He didn't understand any of the bylaws, any of that stuff, man. Never made those sacrifices. He was a money maker. Okay, so, and some of the directors that were coming out were not making sense, So one of them came out that I had an individual, Sonny, which was Skip's nephew, Jack Frost, and then his primo Listo, Gato's primo. And so that crew was supposed to generate $1,500 a month. So I had to come up with $1,500 a month off all of us, our monthlies, and push the work and so forth, man, right? And so me and Demetrius, Sonny, ended up getting real close, man. And Sonny had been out there before, back in the days working with Skip, back in the 80s, as a kid, you know what I'm saying? And so he had that mindset of how Skip used to operate a little bit. And so we started catching bits and pieces of things that were going on with Gato at that time, right? And, he'd go MIA. He'd just basically abscond out there in the streets and shit, man. And like, okay. And then some of the manpower that he was trying to provide us with, they were not beneficial. So me and Sonny pretty much just worked amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? And then we found out on top of it, man, that he was dropping the work to us, and he was getting it at a certain price where he's going to try to make a killing off us and then put these high demands of how much money we got to kick in for the regiment. Because our team was called the 49ers team. Charlie and their team was called the Raider team. Okay, so what ended up happening, me and Sonny went up into his liquor store one day, and I found out how much they were charging, and I gave them exactly what they bought it for, and said, that's all you guys are getting. You know what I'm saying? If you got a problem, come holler at me. And Demetrius was like, that's right. And I had Demetrius holding the money for the regiment bank. And so at that time, we're doing our thing. We're trying to establish our own resources now. Fuck going through this dude. And we wanted to pull away from him anyways. But what ended up happening is we got word that Chico and a few others had flipped, and then Goose had flipped at the same time. Gato went MIA. He took off, abandoned the regiment, abandoned his duties and responsibilities. He headed off to Texas. Now, with everything that he was going, Me and Demetrius decided to put a report together. I wrote it out. I gave it to fucking Charlie Campo, who gave it to Black Steve. We're all at Black Steve's spot, his apartment, and we're talking about it, man. And we're like, he already abandoned the mob. He's going to be deemed no good, period. So they had deemed him no good, right? I get up to San Quentin. At that time, we started working with Charlie and Black Steve. You know what I'm saying? And this is when the regiment was barely starting to take off in San Jose and reestablish itself. This is how Charlie ended up being put in position as a San Jose regiment commander at that time. And so we're all working with each other. You know what I'm saying? We got our things out there more towards San Jose. Black Steve and him are more towards Hollister and so forth, and the other brother as well. And so ends up happening, I end up catching a violation. I get locked up. Okay, so I end up running into Robert Hanrahan, Bubba. And me and him start communicating. Whoa. He says, yeah, I heard about you through Boxer and so forth, man. He goes, I communicate with him. I can shoot your number to him. So he shoots my number to Boxer. I get a call about a week after I get out. And then Boxer goes, you know what, man, you're going to come this way, bro. I go, well, man, I heard I'm supposed to be over here. He goes, nah, you're coming this way. Sure enough, he got it cleared through Skip for me to be assigned to Salinas. And at that time, though, we had met up with Gato real quick. And Gato was like, yeah, we're still going to be doing this stuff. He got cleared and stuff, right? So I see him. I said, you all good? And then Demetrius said, yeah, he's all cleared and shit, man. And so what Demetrius ended up doing was this, right? Gato had a whole bunch of weed. I think he took like 13 pounds, and it was some BC bud back in the days, right? I think it was going for like 3,200 a pound. What Demetrius did is he did not pay the fucking Gato back for all the shit that he did to us earlier, which I was okay with it. But this was his beef, his pedo, right? Turned around, took that money, and started to invest it in the dope game. So now we had our own work. You know what I'm saying? Even though we were plugged into Salinas, because when I did that, I brought him and Kojak with me. Kojak from Eastside Hoods. And Kojak wasn't as involved as people think, even though he was supposed to be. And then we also had other people working with us at that time. We had Angel Martinez, what's his name? YB, Young Buck. He was working with us. Fucking Roper, Tim Cortez, Boo from BRS, and a whole bunch of other cats. Man, we had a squad out there in San Jose, man. And we were under Salinas, and I was the one that was going up reporting to Salas. Now I also had the East Bay connected to me, to where I could take their monthlies up to Salinas, which I was getting a hold of Gonzo. I started working a little bit with Gonzo out there in the East Bay, and which that ended up being an interesting scenario as well. So I was doing a lot. I was involved in a lot, and I was trusting with these responsibilities and so forth, man. And we just would move the dope that they requested us to move from Salinas, but we also started establishing our own resources because Demetrius did what he did. So as all this is going, I get a call from Boxer. He goes, man, tell Demetrius he has to give back that money. It's Pegato, man. All right, I'll let him know. And that was just the end of the conversation. It wasn't no like, do it now or this and that. Just basically kind of like a little, hey, they want to know what's up with that money. Tell me he has to pay that money. Okay, I'll let him deal with that. But we had other things in play at that time. So Boxer ends up getting hemmed up on his violation that he talks about. And that left me with no context at that time. Okay, so I was trying to recruit more people into those that were working with us. And so at that time, fucking Monster got out, homeboy from 12th Street, and then Cornell got out. And so I met up with them. And then I was telling them what we were doing. I was letting them know that, yeah, Charlie got San Jose, right? But I'm out here able to do what I need to do out here because I'm under Salinas. As long as we don't meddle in any affairs or business that they have going on, we're good. Because sometimes we'd cross wires and I'd have to call Charlie or something. I'd be like, hey, bro, my bad. And Charlie'd be pissed, I could tell, man. But Charlie was a good dude. He just knew I was just a headache a little bit. So, but I was trying to recruit people from out there. And then so Goneo was close friends with Coco and Peggy at that time. And so I'm like, I already knew Peggy knew who I was from the communications that we had. Lancho came back and threw my name. They used to call me Sticks as a code name. And she goes, oh, Flacco. So she knew who I was. And so no one from Salinas is getting a hold of me yet. And I need to know where we're sending our money, doing this and that. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because sometimes when you're that young and you're involved and you're making things flourish, you do start to get a little bit ahead of yourself. So I go ahead and Cornell's like, man, I can get a hold of Peggy and this and that, right? So he goes and gets a hold of Peggy. And this is where it became a whole fucking issue, man. Because Lencho had a little beef about it, you know what I mean? And why is he reaching out to her? Whoa. And I'm thinking in my head like, man, everybody knows who she is. I got to get in contact and plug in somehow. He says he knows her. Okay, go ahead, put my name out there on it. So eventually Smokey gets a hold of me. We meet up at the McDonald's right there on Story and White. It's him, Nicoya from San Fran, you know what I'm saying, and Mo from San Fran. Mo was a little baller, man. He had just helped out a lot of homeboys. He had helped Gonzo out with an apartment out there in Livermore. So, you know what I mean? So we were all tied in with different areas and stuff, right? So Smokey gets at me. He goes, man, you're being put on freeze per skip. He goes, I don't know what the hell you did, man, but he's pissed off at you. And I'm thinking in my head, like, he goes, just go get a job and just relax. We'll get at you when we need to get at you. And I'm thinking, man, freeze. Back then, when you were put on freeze, that sometimes meant you were getting whacked. And I started telling, like, Smokey, there ain't fucking nothing I did. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And Smokey's just sitting there like just fucking very authoritative. You know what I'm saying? Because me and Smokey had done time in Corcoran Shoe around like 99. Now, Smokey's a cool dude. And I had met up one time with him in Boxer one time out there at the motel in Salinas. So I'm just sitting there like, fuck, man. I'm on freeze and shit, man. I'm like, my whole world. I'm like, I made all these sacrifices. I've been generating all this income. You know, I just caught a case, you know what I'm saying, on a parole violation. I'm like, man, there's nothing I did wrong, man. Is this going to be the end of my career? I'm like tripping in my head. And lo and behold, it got back that the reason why was because when those directives were passed along to me, I was supposed to make sure Demetrius followed through with that. And what I didn't do is they see me still kicking it with him. They thought I was ignoring orders, right? They thought I refused directives. So, you know, when you're on free, sometimes people don't want to come through, but everybody did, man. So what Demetrius did, right, on parole, he went down to Santa Rita and he fucking visited Skip. Went straight down there and visited and said, look, took accountability, says, I'll pay you back. Flacco had nothing to do with it, man. You know what I'm saying? It was on me. So I was on freeze for a week. Next thing you know, I get a call. Smokey's locked up and it's Bubba. Hey, you've been cleared. We need you guys to tap in. Bam. Next day, we're out there in Salinas, me and fucking Sonny. We're driving a fucking convertible and shit. And Bubba's over there tripping out. Like, we're like, here, you want your monthly here? You know what I'm saying? He's like, what are you guys doing out there? We're doing it, bro. Whatever you need from us, let us know. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's the one time I was put on freeze, man. Other than that, man, I never had any type of blemishes or never under investigation. You know what I'm saying? Never had to file any type of reports as far as on my behalf or who, what, where, when, why, or nothing, man. Everything I was always able to cover myself in everything I did. Even when I held authority positions in certain prisons later on, I would always have someone verify everything, and I would always save every fucking report and submit every fucking thing, man. I learned how to cover my ass because I've seen a lot of individuals who would get put in positions of authority, start making decisions, right? And they have nothing to back them up. So, yeah, first time on freeze, man. First and only time ever put on freeze, man, was by the homie Big Skip, man. Mr. Menudo himself, man. And, you know, luckily they were very impartial, you know what I'm saying? And even when I wrote my report like 6 months before, and fucking Black Steve put it up there like that, he goes, what you want me to do with this? Like, I guess I wrote it fucking too long to trying to explain his shit, man. I guess he likes things very concise. I was all right, next time I'll make it concise and shit, man. But he honored that, and then they fined him. That's how he got his get backs, is for abandoning the mob. And I think he was limited role as far as ever holding a position. And we're just all supposed to accept it. You know what I mean? And I get it, though. I mean, with all the federal indictments and things we were involved in, I get why he took off. Fuck, he thought the indictments were coming down. Both Chico and Goose were fucking flipping. You know what I mean? I'd be scared. I was scared too. You know what I'm saying? Because I had Chico and Ashley. You know? But, yeah, being on freeze back then was a little bit different, man. It had a little bit more higher alert circumstances. You know, the fact that mine was short-lived and cleared up so fast, you know what I mean, meant something that people went to bat for me real quick and said, look, man, you know, Flox had, Demetrius, especially Sonny, he went up there and said, look, Flox had nothing to do with this. And truth be told, I knew what he was doing. I didn't care. That's just the honest truth. You know what I'm saying? But my whole way of being involved was not to be involved. You know, I was benefiting off that because we were able to start getting our own work. See, so what Demetrius did was he turned around and used all that money and put it towards the dope game. Because we had connects out there. We had some pretty good dudes out there, like some plugs out there that they weren't tapped into, that we were tapped into. You know what I mean? Particularly Mikey Stryker. You know what I'm saying? That was Demetrius' boy. We actually went and collected a debt for him one time. So he kind of owed us as well. You know what I'm saying? So we had those things where we did favors for people sometimes, and it came back tenfold for us. That was one of them. We took that money, bam, and invested it. You know, next thing you know, homeboy has his own club, Club Shine. I don't know if you guys remember that in San Jose. He started his own club. You know what I'm saying? All that was done through the money that we initially used by taking that fucking weed from Gato. And Gato was pissed, man. You know what I mean? He was pissed. He was up there fucking reporting, crying, and all that, man. Every time there was a scenario, he went up there and cried. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. That's just the truth of it, man. Anyways, man, this is a quick spill, man. You know, and anytime you could be out there in the streets and just circumstances could change, man. I went from fucking all on fucking cloud nine, we're fucking doing it, we're moving it, to being fucking like, are they gonna whack me? I mean, serious, man. Like, when someone of that high of status is putting you on freeze, you're like, what the fuck did I do, man? You know, and especially for it to be those type of activities, but there was a lot of money at stake. So I think pretty much what happened, though, I'm going to assume, guys, this is an assumption. Gato was still paying that fucking fine, right? By us taking that motherfucking weed, or Demetrius taking that weed, they were not getting the money that they were supposed to get. That's what happened. Come on now. They wanted their money. You know what I mean? So they pretty much shut us down real quick, man. And the thing was, is that didn't have much adverse effects, because at that time I went through 4 regiment commanders out there, man. And this is around the time when Huicho got out and so forth, man. And you know, here I am involved every time, man. It seems like every time there's some major fucking issues or some funk, I'm involved in the fucking middle of it. Whether it was about a month ago or fucking 20 years ago. No lie. You know, but you learn from it, man. You learn from it, man. So, you know, for those out there that are living that life, man, and the message behind it is this, man. You never know what type of uncompromising situation you may be put in out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And there's always those that maybe pass the buck to the next man in order to cover their own ass. It happens all the time, man. There's been individuals who've been deemed no good based upon someone else's actions that doesn't want to take accountability, man. You know, fortunately for me, I had someone that did. Anyways, it's your boy Flacco. Real quick spill, man. The day Flacco was put on freeze by Skip. I'm gone.